Hey, welcome to an episode of Tuesday Night Beer School with me, Chad of Chad's Beer Reviews. Going solo this time, but I do have two beers, so I think it's fair if it's only one judge, but you have at least two beers, or two judges and one beer. Although, preferably two judges and two or more beers. Anyway, this is a increasingly rare style. I don't think I've ever seen anybody homebrew it. I've only ever seen professional examples. So I'm talking about alternative grain beer. So it's a standard beer with additional or non-standard brewing grains. For example, rye, oats, buckwheat, spelt, millet, sorghum, and rice added or used exclusively. Gluten-free beers made from completely gluten-free ingredients may be entered here, while gluten-free beers using process-based gluten removal should be entered in their respective base style categories. Yeah, so it's basically beers that advertise themselves as being gluten-free, made with something other than barley, because these grains that they mention here don't have gluten in them. All right, so overall impression, a base beer enhanced by or featuring the character of additional grains. The specific character depends greatly on the added grains. Comments, the additional grain should be apparent somewhere in the sensory profile. If the alternative grain does not provide a noticeable distinguishable character, enter it as base style. Style should not be used for styles where the alternative grain is fundamental to the style. And there's the examples. Note that sake is not beer and is not intended for this category. Entry instructions, that's for homebrew competitions. Vitals, all based on the underlying base beer. And I actually have two of the examples. I'm surprised they still make these. I feel like nobody makes gluten-free beers anymore. So, representing the USA is Lakefront Brewery's gluten-free new Grist IPA, made with water, rice, malted millet, hops, and yeast. And representing the visitors is Greens IPA, 6% ABV. Now this one's made with water, obviously, millet, buckwheat, sorghum, brown rice, hops, yeast. And this is good until Halloween of next year. By the way, the Lakefront is good until August of this year. And the Lakefront is 6.5 ABV. All right, so we're just going to jump right into it. Got them in the glasses here. Can you guess which one is which? Well, this one is the Lakefront. We'll start with the home team. So let's give this thing a smell. All right, well, right off the nose, I'm going to say this, it smells like an IPA. It's very citrusy. A little dank, too. Kind of smells like, like a fiddlehead, but obviously they're not going for a hazy IPA. They're just going for a standard American IPA. Yeah, I just get a lot of citrus on this one. I would call it pretty lemony, lemon, orange, grapefruit. Yeah, they all kind of blend together. I'd probably say like pink grapefruit. Oddly enough, I do not get any like twang on this one. Although this one is not made with sorghum. So, I mean, rice, obviously you would know what that would smell. I don't really know what millet would smell like. But, like, as I've said tons of times, if I was at the bar, somebody handed this to me, here, you gotta try this, I'd smell it and be like, oh, IPA. But a little dank. A nice kind of, cannabis-y kind of character to it. All right, so let's give the greens a whiff. I don't know why they call it greens with a blue can. Okay. This one, it's funny, this one actually has like a Belgian-y character to it. So I wonder if they're going for like a Belgian IPA on this one. Well, this has like kind of a chemical kind of aroma to it. This one is not nearly as hoppy as the greens. In fact, this one's hardly hoppy at all. Yeah, I don't know, this one doesn't have much of an aroma. I will say it doesn't smell very twangy, You might remember back in the Albany days of the show, my friend Jeremy from Westbury Beverage, he also had a side project of Steadfast, and they made all gluten-free beers, and those were all sorghum-based. And like once you smell and taste sorghum, you never forget it. And this one doesn't really smell sorghum-y to me. To me, this kind of smells like a Belgian amber or Belgian pale ale. It's definitely got like a Belgian-y quality to it, but like slight kind of citrusy hops in there. I assume they're going for American IPA or Belgian IPA, but yeah, we call this one floral. But it's just It's funny because I think that this can is actually fresher than this can, but the intensity of the hops is like way stronger on the green, or the Lakefront, I should say. All right, so let's check the specs on aroma. Same as base beer style, the added grain will lend a particular character, although some grains the beer will simply seem a bit more grainy or nutty, and some may have a relatively neutral character. So that's basically, I don't know, it's kind of a whole lot of nothing, because like it says sometimes it'll add and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to judge these based on, how well they conform to the style. So the Lakefront, it smells like an IPA to me. Kind of smells like an old school, West Coast. I guess they're probably going for like a Stone IPA or something like that. Actually, I kind of like the dank character in there. And I like that it doesn't smell twangy. So I'm going to give this a 10. As for the greens, the Belgian is a nice spin, but the hops are really low on that one. It just doesn't smell like an IPA to me. So I'm going to give this an 8. All right, so appearance, obviously, huge difference in appearance. The greens, it kind of looks like champagne or cider. I mean, I would call that yellow. I mean, it's definitely got a little bit of a haze to it, and it does not pour too much of a foam, even initially. And I don't know if this is going to pick up on camera, but there's actually like alcohol legs on the glass, which is weird because this is only 6.5. It's not like a super strong beer. I mean, I could see if it was like 9 or 10 or something like that. But yeah, so this one, it kind of looks more like a lager, and the lack of foam is like really disappointing. So as for the greens, this one pours, it's kind of like an amber, almost like a pumpkin beer. Well, not quite that orange. It's more of like a brownish color, like kind of a rusty color. It does get, about a finger or two worth of foam, and it is still sticking around. But this one is also hazy. So, I mean, this one to me looks more like an amber ale. It's funny, they're both good and bad for different reasons, but I like the clarity on this one, or like the, or this one. I mean, it's not that it's like hazy like a New England IPA, but it's, fairly clear. So in this one I think this is like really, really dark for an IPA, but the head retention is nice. I think I can guess what the specs are going to say when it comes to appearance on this one. Same as base beer style, although some additional haze may be noticeable. Okay. Well, the Lakefront is too light and the greens is too dark. So I'm going to give both of these a 2. If the Lakefront held the head, I would have given it a 3. And if the greens was a little lighter, like it actually looked like an IPA, I would also give it a 3. So they're both getting points subtracted here. All right, so let's give these things a taste. We will start with the home team with Lakefront. Cheers. Okay. Yeah, like right off the rip there. It tastes as hoppy as it smells. Just like classic kind of West Coast up front, like very citrusy. Probably say mostly grapefruit, a little lemon. Fairly bitter. I didn't look up the IBUs on this one. Seems it's probably between 40 and 50. It's definitely bitter. It's got that nice kind of dank fiddlehead, type finish. Slightly cannabis, slightly like really grassy, I guess you could say. And to this beer's credit, for better or for worse, like this does not taste like a gluten-free IPA to me. This does not have that sorghum twang. Like this tastes, in my opinion, like a full barley IPA. By the way, you can see even now we just get like a little bit of a coating of a head on there. So yeah, citrusy up front, dank and grassy in the back. The malt base, or I should say the grain base, is like fairly neutral. I mean, it just tastes like a standard, two-row. I mean, just basing on the color alone, like you can tell it's like you're not going to get toast or caramel or anything on that. So, yeah, tastes like an American IPA. All right, next up, we'll go with the greens. Cheers again. It definitely has like a lot more malt character to it, But again, it does not taste like a super syrupy sorghum twang beer that I was used to, 10 years ago off Steadfast, which I don't believe that company's around anymore. I will say this does have a Belgian-y quality to it. Definitely get like kind of like slightly perfumey or soapy kind of Belgian yeast esters on there. Definitely a dry kind of bitterness on here. This one, it definitely has like, I would say it has like a peppery aftertaste, whereas like this is like a grassy, weedy aftertaste. This one is peppery. I mean, it's like it's just the difference between American and European, beer hop selections. So yeah, I'm getting perfume, flowers, pepper, like peppercorn, not jalapeno or anything. I will say this one has a noticeable, I guess you could call it a nutty character because of like all those great, they say millet, buckwheat, sorghum, brown rice. Yeah. It definitely does not have like the same kind of malt character as you would expect in a standard, but at the same time, it's not like that, teabag astringent twang or whatever. Yeah, but like I said on the appearance and aroma, this probably would probably be better judged as like a Belgian pale ale, or even like a Beerdegard or something like that. This is, I don't know, just or maybe Belgian IPA, maybe, but the malt base on there, I can tell there's something different on that. Both of these beers are nice because they're not like super twangy and like I can barely tolerate them. They still both taste like beer. All right, but both of them you can tell like there's something unusual about them. All right, so let me bring up the flavor specs here. Same as base beer style. The additional grain should be noticeable in flavor, although it may not be necessarily identifiable. That's kind of contradictory. It should be noticeable, but it may not be. So which is it? Some grains add an additional grainy, bready, or nutty flavor, while others simply enhance the flavor of the base beer. Some grains add a dryness to the finish. All right, well, I would say both these beers finish dry, but not because of the additional grains. They're both IPAs. IPA almost never finishes sweet. They both have a hoppy, bitter aftertaste. Yeah, I would say both of them seem to be between 40 and 50 IBUs. All right, so how am I going to rate these? All right, so the Lakefront, like I said, this is a pretty two-spec, probably West Coast IPA, and I do appreciate beers that have that kind of dank kind of aftertaste, like you get like in a hazy. Yeah, and it doesn't taste like weirdo grains or whatever. So I'm gonna go pretty high in this one. I'm gonna say 18. The greens, I like that it. Well, I mean, like I said, it's probably better considered some kind of Belgian pale ale or something like that. Or maybe as a Belgian IPA. I do dig the nuttiness on there, and then it's not super twangy. But it doesn't seem like if they could just call this Belgian IPA and not IPA. Although they don't say it's an American style IPA, but yeah, I'm just gonna penalize this one. I do like it, but I'm gonna penalize it a little. It definitely tastes better than it smells. I'm gonna give this a 17. All right, so mouthfeel. I forgot to mention that. The Lakefront is like an old school IPA. I mean, it's 6.5. It's not huge. Probably put about medium. Yeah, probably about medium body, medium carbonation. It's actually got a crispness to it. You can tell just looking at it. Like, this is not going to be a fluffy, creamy, hazy or something like that. So, yeah, this one's really easy to drink. And, yeah, like this is strong enough to stand up to food, bar food or something like that. Actually, I think that'd be probably good with seafood, too. As for the greens, this has a noticeably Belgian kind of mouthfeel. Yeah, it's like this one, everything about it is just Belgian-y to me, which, I mean, if you like Belgian beers, you probably like this one. This one seems like a little bit fuller in the mouth than the Lakefront. I don't know if I go as far as say medium full, like medium plus. Carbonation, pretty high, probably again like medium plus. So, it's like if you ever had a Trappist beer, like a triple, or even a Belgian blonde or something, like they're tend to be big bodied but also high carbonation. So yeah, this definitely does drink like Belgian IPA, but it is only 6% ABV, so it's like how full of a body could it be really? So yeah, I'd probably say medium body, medium high carbonation. Very bubbly. Neither of these beers are hard to drink. They're both easy to drink, which is a good thing, I think. All right, so let's check the specs on mouthfeel. Same as the base beer, although many additional grains increase body and viscosity, while some create a thinner body. They should go into more detail there. I mean, I guess you would have to, to pass the BJCP exam, you would have to know, they're going to ask you that on the test, like which grains would add body and which thin it out, because rice tends to thin it out, and others increase it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, both these beers drink like what they are, IPAs. I think the Lakefront, like the lack of a head and it seems like a tad thin to me, or maybe like a tad overcarbonated. But otherwise, it does drink like an IPA. So I'm going to give this a solid 4 out of 5. The greens drinks like a Belgian to me. But I can't really fault it for anything. I'm going to give a full 5 out of... Whoops. Sorry. I'm going to give a full 5 out of 5 to the greens. Overall impression, the Lakefront, this, if you'd like Stone IPA, something like that, you would like this one. This is just like a standard West Coast IPA. It's, for a gluten-free, alternative grain beer, I think it's doing a fantastic job. I'm surprised I never had this before. I'm going to give this, again, we're scoring this to spec, so I'm going to give this as a alternative grain beer. I think it is a 9 out of 10. So that's a total score of 43 out of 50. Again, we're judging it as a alternative grain beer, not so much as an IPA. And the greens, very, very close. It has like a little bit more character to it, but also it's a little off as far as like an IPA, to at least the way that they're marketing it. As a Belgian amber, I think it would be better described, but yeah, it's nice to have a gluten-free Belgian. So I'm going to give this one an 8. So, it's a 43 versus 40. So both these beers are, really, really good for gluten-free. So I definitely recommend these if, you're not into gluten or you have a friend that can't drink gluten, you should be able to get these at Total Wine or any major, beer store, liquor store, or something like that. I don't know. I like them both for different reasons, but I do like that the Lakefront actually tastes like a familiar West Coast American IPA, and this one's kind of like Belgian-y. But what I like both about them is there's no sorghum twang to them. They taste, I'd say, between 90 and 95% the same as a standard barley beer. So anyway, I am going super long. If you watch all the way in, you're awesome. This is usually where I say check out Chad's Beer Podcast or Tuesday Night Beer School, but we're already on that. So check out good old Chad's Beer Reviews. All right, I will see you guys next time. Cheers.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Reviews.
Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.